7 miles beneath the surface, the sun simply doesn't exist. Down here, the water pressure is so immense that a single structural failure can crumble solid steel into a twisted knot in less than a second. Living inside Kepler Station, Nora describes a world where months of darkness erase the distinction between day and night. When the only view of the outside is a black void, the crew finds it increasingly difficult to tell the difference between a dream and their actual surroundings. That fragile reality shatters when the station's lights flicker and water begins pouring through the ceiling. In moments, the immense pressure outside forces a massive breach, tearing down the walls and sending thousands of gallons of violent water tearing through the corridors. Nora sprints through the collapsing base to find an uncompromised room, but the automated doors fail. She is forced to manually override the security locks, physically shutting a heavy blast door right as her crewmates run toward her. The door seals, and the ocean claims the others. Nora's fight to stay alive starts with the immediate, crushing weight of knowing her safety was bought directly with the lives of her friends. The flooding is only the immediate threat. The station's nuclear power core, which supplies energy to the entire facility, has been severely compromised. If it goes critical, the resulting meltdown will vaporize whatever is left of the base. With the escape pods already destroyed, the survivors have exactly one option. They have to walk 1.5 kilometers across the pitch-black ocean floor to reach an abandoned drilling site. They force themselves into massive, reinforced atmospheric diving suits. These heavy metal cages are suffocating and difficult to move in, yet they are the absolute minimum barrier required to survive the elements outside. Stepping out of the airlock means leaving a crumbling, dying structure and walking directly into the absolute unknown of an environment actively trying to kill them. The moment their boots hit the seafloor, the ocean's hostility is immediate. Under the immense strain of the deep, a microscopic fracture forms across the glass of Rodrigo's helmet. This schematic illustrates how, at this extreme depth, a breach causes an immediate implosion. The immense external pressure instantly overrides the suit's internal balance, collapsing the structure inward in a fraction of a second. Nora witnesses her crewmate get crushed into nothingness. She has no time to grieve or process the horror. She must force the panic down immediately, because hesitating in the dark will get her killed. They discover the ocean isn't empty. Following a signal to a pod, they find strange, mutated organisms feeding on their fallen crew. As the crew presses forward, Paul is suddenly grabbed from behind. He is dragged rapidly backward into the shadows by an unseen force, his screams echoing over the radio until his reinforced tether violently snaps. This rapid loss of life reveals a new reality. The survivors are traversing a predatory ecosystem where a hidden swarm is systematically hunting them. Seeking shelter inside a narrow cave network, the group is ambushed again. A colossal, shadowy creature lunges from the depths, seizing Captain Lucian in its jaws and tearing him away from the group. The monster pulls Lucian rapidly toward the surface. Because their suits are tethered together, Nora is violently yanked up with him. This rapid ascent is lethal. Rising too quickly causes the suit's internal pressure to dangerously expand, threatening a blowout. Knowing exactly what will happen if they keep rising, Lucian makes a final choice. He pulls his knife and severs his own tether, detaching himself from Nora right before his suit explodes. Nora plummets back down to the ocean floor, landing alone in an abandoned section of the debris field. The absolute silence of the dark closes in around her. Finding Emily and the badly injured Smith provides Nora with a single, clear objective. Despite her exhaustion and the loss of her leaders, she assumes command, physically hauling the wounded Smith toward the drilling site. She has watched almost everyone she looked to for guidance die violent deaths. In the crushing dark, her instinct to simply survive fades away, replaced entirely by a resolve to get these last two people to safety. The 3 survivors finally reach the drilling site, but the path forward requires them to cross a narrow suspension bridge. Covering every surface are thousands of the predatory creatures, lying dormant in a deep sleep. This scale comparison shows the threat they awake. The colossal alpha predator easily dwarfs a 50-story skyscraper. Looking at these stress factors, we see how its movement buckles the foundation, sending shockwaves that threaten to tear the drilling structure to pieces. They barely make it inside the pod room, where Nora immediately checks the system readouts. The math is brutal and undeniable. There are 3 of them alive, but only 2 functional escape pods remain. Without a second of hesitation, Nora secures the injured Smith into the first pod. When Emily realizes there is no pod left for Nora, she refuses to leave, but Nora forces her inside and locks the hatch. Hours earlier, Nora's survival began by shutting a blast door to save her own life, knowing her friends would die. Now, she hits the launch sequence to shut a door and ensure her own death so her friends can live. The launch of the escape pods creates a surge of noise and light, instantly drawing the attention of the surrounding swarm and the colossal Alpha. Looking out through the reinforced glass, Nora watches the thousands of smaller creatures turn their focus upward. She knows the pods will be easily intercepted and shredded long before they hit the surface. Standing alone, Nora turns to the facility's power terminal. She manually overloads the system, initiating a massive nuclear meltdown that ignites the ocean floor in a brilliant, consuming flash. The drilling project demonstrated the consequences of overstepping environmental limits. Ultimately, Nora's decision to destroy the station was the only action that neutralized the swarm and allowed the 2 remaining survivors to reach safety.